The opinions expressed are those of the show's host and not the staff or management of Port St. Lucie Broadcasters. Any reproduction without written consent of WSTU and WPSL is strictly prohibited. Now it's time for Quality of Life Radio brought to you by Cigna. Here are your hosts, Gary Owen and Tom Bouvier.
Hello, and good morning to all of our lovely, beautiful friends listening in on this chilly Florida Tuesday morning. It is Tuesday, January 19th, 2021, and I'm your host, Gary Owen, and Tom the Bouvier. I decided to take a day off. I'm not sure why he wants a day off, but I guess I overwork him. And you are listening to the Quality of Life radio show. We are streaming live this morning on Facebook. You can find us at the Quality of Life radio show on Facebook and follow us and tune in live, because I know you probably have nothing better to do than to watch those of us here in the WSTU studio live on the show. So it will certainly be fulfilling and life fulfilling when you watch our show. Also, you can hear us live on WSTU 1450 AM and WPSL 1590 AM. And you can also, if you are at work and you've got nothing to do and you want to scroll around on the internet, you can type in your browser www.wstutv.com. And you can check us live in the studio. And it's obviously better to see us live than to hear us on the radio. You can watch our lips move, actually, and see our lovely faces. It's more exciting. So why are we here? What is the Quality of Life radio show about? And I want to say hello to Kathy, who's listening this morning at Sunny's. Thank you, Kathy, who's going to be taking care of our catering needs here soon for our grand opening and tomorrow's Chamber of Commerce after hours event. But we're here to bring relevant content to our listeners and to support and showcase our local business owners. And we'll introduce Tasha here in just a moment, and also provide education and information that will help secure and enhance your quality of life. So this morning, I'm happy to have, and by the way, I do miss Tom. I mean, I know Evan loves Tom here, but he says it's a nice change to have the princess sitting in the princess chair, because he doesn't want to have Tom sitting in the princess chair. And I'll be sure to pass that along to the booth there. So our featured guest this morning is Tasha Chen. We're going to say hello to her in just a moment. So we'll talk about the first part of the show, about we'll showcase her business and kind of find out what she does and how she can help you. And then the second part of the show, we're going to share our knowledge, and some information will be presented about some phenomenal and important insurance solutions. I know you think insurance is blasé, boring, but I'm going to tell you, we make it exciting. It's fun to listen to us. We're going to try to show you the pitfalls to avoid, and we'll provide you transparency and good old-fashioned straight talk that will enhance and improve your quality of life, because our mission is simply to provide you simplification when it comes to insurance planning, so you can enjoy the stress-free life that you deserve. So it's that time of morning where we are going to present to you our featured guest, Tasha Chen. Good morning, Tasha.
Good morning.
Your anticipation waiting to speak, and now here you are.
Here
You've been waiting for months to get on my show.
I have been. I'm still working on the radio voice, though.
That's okay. You don't need to work on it. It takes years to develop that radio voice. Ask Evan 9. He's got me beat by a gazillion miles, but I wish I could be more like Evan when I grow up. We'll see how that works out. But I love you, Evan. But by the way, I'm still waiting for my cup of coffee or cappuccino, double espresso, something like that. I mean, both of us would probably enjoy that. Just FYI, as you go eat your breakfast. So, Tasha, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell me where you're from, what you do, what you like, how long you've been in Florida.
All right. So I'm from the beautiful island of Jamaica.
Oh, yeah, man.
That's right.
Respect, sister.
I love it. Grew up in Jamaica and got the opportunity to come to the States for college. Got a scholarship to come here. And I tell people, I'm from a third world country, so an opportunity like that is a big deal. I got off that plane and I was like, I'm going to live this American dream. I'm going to work harder than everybody
God
else.
bless you. That's awesome.
I'm making the most of this opportunity. So I did that undergrad, got another scholarship to my master's, met my husband during my master's, and did not go back to Jamaica. And kind of like the rest is history. But went on to get a really great corporate job, started climbing the corporate ladder. And then they told me, you have 2 weeks vacation. And I was like,
What's that?
That's not going to work for me. That is not going to work for me. I know I had a baby and I had 2 weeks maternity leave. And it was just, it's like, I want to be an entrepreneur. That's my dream, That's my version of the American dream. So we started looking at businesses. We lived in Broward at the time. And we bought the rights to a franchise deal for all of Palm Beach County, Martin County, St. Lucie County. And so that brought us here to Stewart. We've found a home here.
Franchise, what type of franchise?
All right. So when I say this, don't look at my hair. And I know you're listening by radio, but if you're watching live, it was a chain of hair salons. So you've probably heard of Supercuts.
Of course, we heard of Supercuts.
All right. So most of these brands are owned by Regis. And we bought a brand called Cost Cutters.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's the family version of Supercuts. They weren't any here in this area, and we started building the area as the franchisees.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was really cool. We had a great ride. I
need a haircut.
No, that's the problem. I tell people this, like, listen, it's like you buy a KFC franchise. It does not mean you know how to fry chicken. Right? That's it. I know nothing about here, just how to run a business. So
I love it.
Yeah. So we moved here and started growing our family and doing really well. Actually, we got up to 4 stores. I started winning national awards.
Woo!
Became a little celebrity around here. I was in the newspapers all the time and doing the chamber thing and all that good stuff. It was just like, check, check, check. All my financial dreams, entrepreneurial dreams come true. And then, as you and I were talking about,
2008
happened. And literally overnight, I went from, just millions of dollars in assets to file in Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Yep.
Right. So
feel your pain.
It would be maybe bad and not so bad if that it stopped there. But then my husband asked for a divorce, and
adding insult to injury.
And then my health went to just in and out of the hospital like a revolving door. I remember my son was a brand new baby, and I have this picture of us where I'm holding him and we're looking at each other confused, like, who are you? It's like, oh my gosh, it was just a really bad time in my life. But
how old was your son then?
He was, less than a year old.
Oh, bless his little heart.
Yeah. It was, this was not my idea of success. That's what I realized, I'd achieved paper success, but like me as a human being, as a mom, as a wife, as a person,
sure.
I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror anymore, So, it sounds really bad, and it really was. I'm not going to underscore it, but it was a blessing because I was at the bottom of the barrel, like back against the wall. All right, what do you want to do now? Mm-hmm. And I think those moments define us. And I really had to have a come to Tasha talk with myself and go, all right, I live in beautiful Stewart, Florida. It's like, this is, home for me. I live in paradise. I think I'm really smart. I'm a hard worker, but what do I really want? And I really wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to be making a lot of money. I wanted freedom, and I just wanted to do something I loved. And I was like, God, I don't know if it's going to be baking banana bread, carrot cake, selling t-shirts, but here's the deal. Make me successful, make me love it, make me free, and make me a lot of money. And, God delivered.
Your dreams came true.
My dreams came true.
That's a beautiful story. We're going to come back to that in a second. I've got some questions for you about Jamaica, though.
Oh, here we go.
So how often do you get back to Jamaica?
Oh, well, before all this, I would go 2-3 times a year.
Yes.
Definitely every Christmas at least.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love Jamaica. I think I've been there 6 times.
Mm.
I'd almost want to become a Jamaican, but we'll have to see how that goes. But so how has it been with politics and safety in that country? Because there's a lot of poverty in Jamaica.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful island, and going down in Negril, it's such a beautiful place, and the western tip of Jamaica,
Yeah.
and beautiful white sands of Negril, and the beautiful pristine waters. It's just absolutely stunning.
Okay.
Stunning country.
I don't know what you're trying to do here, but let's get on a plane and go.
All right, we'll see everybody. We're heading down to Negril, Jamaica.
Yeah, home is it's beautiful. And so here's the thing is it's a third world country. I've traveled all over the world. I've seen lots of other third world countries, but the Jamaican spirit is just unique. I mean, it's just
Truly is.
I mean, I just am amazed at people who live in abject poverty and they're enjoying
Nope,
life
nope,
to the fullest.
No problem, man.
No problem. You just throw a party and they'll be there. So yeah, I grew up in the city. My parents have a business and they did very well for themselves. They made sure I did not know that was going on.
Mhm.
So they just, the number one thing was education. Like you have to excel in your education to give yourself as much opportunities as you possibly can. Because that's the thing about a third world country. It's not as many opportunities as there are here. You can be self-made
Surely.
easily here. Not the same thing there. You really do have to get a really good education. So, and the politics and all that and the crime, you know what? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is there. It is present. But part of growing up there is you're like, okay, we don't go there at this time of day. We don't do that. We're going to live in our little bubble and you go to the beach. That's it.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's kind of common sense. I mean,
Yeah.
for Americans who travel to other countries, you got to be just be cognizant of your surroundings and
Yeah.
be aware and don't do anything stupid and foolish like many Americans like to do when they travel.
It's part of the fun, I guess. They're going for the experience, but sometimes it's just not safe. Yeah.
So we're going to go on a break in just a second, but then we're going to touch and about what you do. But if you could give us like a 60-second commercial now of your career over the last 12 years, what is it exactly, Tasha, that you do for people?
I got the opportunity to meet some multimillionaires who gave me a book called The Science of Getting Rich. They said, this is the reason why we have everything that we have. I read that book. It changed my life. And I started sharing the principles with people. And the next thing I knew, I had a global business and people were making a lot of money practicing the principles. That's what I do.
The science
of getting rich.
Do you think that there's any listeners in our audience this morning who have a dream, desire to be rich and to be unfettered from debt and financial poverty and distress?
Actually, according to the Science of Getting Rich, if you don't have that desire,
you're never going to be able to get rich.
It actually says it's a sin. Like if you do not want to make the most of yourself and this opportunity called life, then, there's something to look at because for all of us that are alive and breathing right now, there are millions who are not.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We like that. We appreciate that. We can't wait to share more information when we come back from our break. You are listening to the Quality of Life Radio Show, WSTU 1450 AM, America's Heritage Station, as well as WPSL 1590 AM. And for those of you that are watching live on Facebook, thank you. Stay tuned, and we will be right back. All right, welcome back to the Quality of Life Radio Show. I'm your host, Gary Owen, and in the studio with me this morning, missing is the Boov Man, Tom Bouvier, my co-host. But better looking and more lively and fun is the Miss Lovely Tasha Chen, and we are talking about financial health, how to become rich. I'm excited to have her in the studio this morning to share with so many people who have an issue with their finances. And if you're in debt and you're struggling financially and you need some questions answered, you need some directions, well, guess who we have in the studio to help you with that? Tasha. So I want to ask you, Tasha, what is it that you can do to help people get out of debt? I mean, what would be your first piece of advice for people who are listening to us, who are watching us this morning, who have issues with debt?
So I'll start with the word debt, right? One of my favorite books is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And he says, be impeccable with your word, because the words that we use, they define if we experience heaven on earth or hell on earth. For me, after that chapter 11, that was hell on earth. And the word debt was an absolute nightmare. I would do, debt repayment programs, you name it, all that stuff. But every time I thought of the word debt, it would just be this heavy burden for me. And I think that's what most people feel like. We have the desire to improve our finances and our financial well-being. But the main reason is so that we can reduce our debt, or we can, overcome debt. And so the idea of being impeccable with your words, it's like, look, there are very wealthy people who love debt. Debt is a great thing for them, and they really, have a good relationship with it. But for most of us, household debt, regular debt, it's burdensome. And so if we continue to think of it in those terms, we're gonna stay in this trap where the more you focus on it, is the more it expands. So many people want to reduce their debt, and what they find happening is it increases, right? So when people come into our program, one of the first things that I do is I say, okay, we're going to say bye-bye to debt. It's not like, oh, it's going to go away overnight. It's just a mindset shift. So instead of looking at this big bad thing, your debt, we're going to reword it, and we're going to call it your outstanding balances. And then we're going to make an agreement. You're going to make a commitment that these outstanding balances are going to be zero, right? And it's amazing. I did this when I had no job, no income of any significance. And I literally said, this is no longer debt that I'm going to be afraid of every day. These are my outstanding balances. And you know what? I commit to making them zero.
The dirty D word.
The dirty D word. And another thing that I did, and I one of the things that I'm known for is, people that have come through our programs have created millions of dollars, like crazy money. I should have charged a commission because I would have made millions that way. But I can tell you that the thing is, I'm just practical and real, right? I remember myself in that struggle and those fears every day about money. And the last thing I want to do is tell you like 100 tips to do this and that and all that. I'm like, just start thinking differently. Everybody can do that, And so one of the things that I did is I made a list of every single person I owed money to, every company I owed money to. And I looked at it and I said, not only am I committed to making these zero, I'm going to be grateful for every single one of these outstanding balances and the reason why I have them. So sure, I owe an incredible amount on my mortgage, but I'm so grateful. I have a home. I have a safety place for my family. I have my business from here. And I just went down the list, money to creditors, money for my car, like all of it. And I'm telling you what, I cannot logically explain to you how my life changed so that I could make those balances zero, but it did.
And, today with COVID-19, so many people, Tasha, have lost their jobs.
Yeah.
They're losing hope. What do you say to people out there that are in that situation at home with no job, in debt, and, in fear? What's your message to those people?
Wow. So one of the things that just triggered for me was me going back to that time in my life. That fear is real. It's scary. I get it. And all I can tell you is what I've done, and I remember that feeling. And I say this to people, and there's a very common saying that where there's life, there's hope.
Mhm.
As long as we're breathing, there's hope, right? So what's happening is that we are focusing on the hopelessness and we get more hopeless. What I did, what I realized, like it was a very direct correlation for me. I would spend all day in fear about having no money. And then every afternoon, I would open the mailbox and there would be overdraft notices, past due bills, letters from creditors. Like it was a direct correlation. So I realized, wait a second, I'm thinking these thoughts and feeding this fear. And every evening, I'm getting proof of what I'm thinking.
Sure.
So what if I just change my thoughts? And I did. I had a journal that every single day when the thought came, oh my God, you're never going to make it. You're never going to make it on, because I was newly divorced. You're never going to make it on your own. You're never going to find a business you love to make the kind of money you want. Like all the fears, like the rent, the mortgage is due. You don't have the money. I would literally get that journal and I would do one simple thing, which was to write out the complete opposite. I literally made myself write and see things like, I am so grateful I'm financially independent.
That's powerful.
Oh my gosh.
To put it in writing, I mean,
Oh
it's
my
kind of like
gosh.
our goals, right? I mean, some of
Yeah.
the people have goals and they have it up in their minds, but until you write it in paper, those goals truly don't exist for you to look at and to understand and to grasp every single day.
And connect with emotionally, spiritually,
Absolutely.
energetically, like on so many levels. And, that's the thing. I mean, I have an entire book of these statements, which I've gone back and checked, just checked off because it's all happened, So, yeah.
Well, we appreciate it. So, Tasha, if someone wants to get a hold of you and learn more information about how you can help them, how do they reach you?
So my business, I'm going to give you 3 ways. My business is called Science of Getting Rich Academy. You can search for that online, scienceofgettingrichacademy.com. What I would love to do is for us to connect on Facebook. And if this conversation resonated with you and, you want to learn more about what I do, I have a group called Money Attraction Community on Facebook. Money Attraction Community. And Gary, can I give your listeners a gift?
You can give them a gift.
All right, let's go. Back to just writing things out, right? Being grateful for the money you do have. Maybe you don't have $10,000 in the bank. You have 100 or 10, right? How to practice gratitude for your money. So I have a 30-day gratitude for money journal. I'd love to give everyone. You can find it at tashachen.com/money journal. tashachen.com/money journal. Go start expressing gratitude for the blessing of financial abundance. And guess what? You'll see more coming your way.
You're amazing.
I am. Thank you.
You are absolutely amazing. And Evan's over there shaking his head. Yes. So your phone number, do you have a phone number for them to contact you?
I actually do everything online.
Everything's
So,
online.
yep.
Okay, perfect. So Science of Getting Rich Academy, get your free money journal. I think everyone needs to take an opportunity to do that now. tashachen.com/money journal. So go get that done. We want to transition to the second part of our show now. It's 10:31 a.m. And I kind of want to share with you, I always share 2 stories every show that's very interesting, funny, or unique. So the first part is Midnight Snack, and the second is the Great Maple Syrup Heist. So the dream was like something out of a spy thriller. 29-year-old Jenna Howe of San Diego, California, was running from some shady characters on a high-speed train, and her fiance told her to hide her engagement ring fast. So Jenna popped off the ring and swallowed it. She woke suddenly and realized that it was just a dream. Quickly dozed off again. But the next morning, she noticed her left hand was bare after a trip to the ER and an x-ray to confirm that Howe really had downed the diamond in her sleep. Doctors fished it out via an endoscopy. Howe praised the ring's designer for crafting jewels so lovely you could eat them. But please don't do that, folks. Then the very interesting stuff that happens, and this was in San Diego, California. The second one is in Canada. The Great Maple Syrup Heist. The subject of one of the most audacious heists in Canadian history was a true Canadian staple, maple syrup. So nearly 3,000 tons of sweet stuff valued at $18 million, that's right, $18 million, were stolen from a storage facility in Quebec. The mastermind, Richard Villieres, was given an 8-year sentence and a $9.5 million fine, according to the Toronto Star. 2 other men were also given 2-year jail terms. Thankfully, the stolen amount comprised barely one-tenth of Quebec's maple syrup reserves. Don't you just love maple syrup?
Love maple syrup.
And then I want to share with everybody too today. I've got some information to share that you're going to love, and everyone needs to hear this. But before we get there, I want to talk to you, share the story about Edgar Allan Poe. This year, this day, back in 1809, Edgar Allan Poe was born. January 19th, 1809, poet, author, and literary critic Edgar Allan Poe is born in Boston. By the time he was 3 years old, both of Poe's parents had died, leaving him in the care of his godfather, John Allan, a wealthy tobacco merchant. After attending school in England, Edgar Allan Poe is the all-time master of the macabre. The story of his life was more bizarre than the tales he told, for Poe was a man both greatly blessed and supremely cursed. His death was sudden, surrounded by strange circumstances. He disappeared for 3 days before being found and he was getting married for the second time when he disappeared from his soon-to-be spouse. He disappeared for 3 days before being found incoherent in a Baltimore street gutter, was taken to a hospital, and there he died at the age of 40. One of his most popular poems I read this morning, but I'll share with you the first paragraph. There were maybe over a dozen, but everyone probably remembers this in school, The Raven. You know this, Tasha?
Heard it.
Do you want to read it?
If you'd like me to.
Just read that one tiny little first paragraph of his poem.
Okay. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, "tapping at my chamber door. Only this and nothing more."
Pretty cool. He's got some really great poems. So if you're needing some great poems, go see, and dark, weird, interesting. Read some of Edgar Allan Poe's poems. All right. Today, we're going to talk about care, Tasha. Care. Medicare, health care, long-term care, anything related to health insurance, health care like disability, dental vision, hospital insurance plans, accident. These are all related to the industry that we are part of. As most of you already know, I am the president, owner, CEO of Owen Insurance Group. We're located in Stuart, Florida. I've been here on the Treasure Coast for 34 years, and my passion is simplifying insurance planning so you can enjoy the stress-free life you deserve, because insurance, quite frankly, is confusing, confounding. Insurance carriers are producing complicated, sophisticated insurance products for unsophisticated consumers, and this causes problems. Hence why you should go and speak to an independent insurance broker, such as myself and my team. We have roughly 350 agents, independent brokers throughout the state of Florida. So no matter where you're listening, we've got agents in Virginia, California, Texas. We can help you. So you can reach us at 772-210-1020. I want to spend some time this morning and talk to you about long-term care or extended care. But before we do that, we have been getting a large number of calls from Medicare consumers who are not happy with either maybe their drug plan or their Medicare plan that they are enrolled in. And many think that because they missed the annual election period, what they affectionately know as the Medicare open enrollment period, which happens from October 15th through December 7th, if you've missed out on that, typically in the past, you're stuck in that plan. If it's a Medicare Advantage plan or a Part D plan, you're stuck in that plan for the entire year until the next AEP period begins from October 15th through the 7th of December. However, last year, CMS Medicare put together a new plan, and what's called the open enrollment period. So there is an OEP now. Not to be confused. Many people call the open enrollment period in October through December as the open enrollment period. Really, technically, it's the annual election period for you to make a change if you're on a Medicare Advantage plan or a Part D prescription drug plan. So if you're on Medicare Advantage, not standalone Part D, if you're in a Part D plan, you're stuck in that Part D plan for the rest of the year until the next open enrollment period. And by the way, you got to get your Part D right. There are so many people out there who don't take a look at an annual review of their plan. And if you are in the wrong drug plan, I promise you, got another call this morning before I came to the station. The formulary that this gentleman is trying to get from the pharmacy is not available. If you're on the wrong drug plan, you're going to be facing large bills, unaffordable bills. Of the drug that he was looking for is not on any formulary of any plan. And so if you go to goodrx.com, that drug is going to be about $350 a month. So it's really important that you sit down with a independent broker who specializes and focuses and concentrates on these types of plans: Medicare, long-term care, prescription drug plans, health insurance, life insurance, and so forth. So the point of that long conversation is, for those of you out there who think that you're stuck in your Medicare plan that you're in now, there is hope. So in the month of January and February and March, you can make the decision to leave that plan, enroll in another like plan, Medicare Advantage plan, and that will be effective the first of the following month. So you're not stuck. So if you've got questions, you've got concerns, call us at Owen Insurance Group, and we can help guide you along the way. We are going to go on our second break. We'll come back and we're going to talk to you about some long-term care insurance solutions that will change your life. You're listening to the Quality of Life Radio Show. I'm Gary Owen, and we will be right back. Hello, you lovely people. Thanks for hanging with us this morning. You are listening to the one and only Gary Owen, the Quality of Life Radio Show. And by the way, before we get to my comments and information I'm going to provide to you this morning on long-term care, Miss Tasha gave the wrong code. She wanted to give something for free. So it was like, aha, gotcha. You're not really going to get anything for free if you go to that domain. So she wants to correct it.
All right. So the correct URL is tashachen.com/money gratitude for your 30-day journal that you can, express gratitude every day for money. So it's tashachen.com/money gratitude. Go download and enjoy.
That's awesome. And take advantage of it. Please go there and do it. Doesn't cost you anything. And the one thing it can do is give you a change in mindset that you will be rich every single day. So, Tasha, I want to share with everybody about something that people don't like to talk about.
Oh, boy.
They don't like to talk about their mortality.
Yeah.
Getting old.
Mm.
Who's going to take care of me? Right. So the question I have for all of you that are watching and listening this morning is, who really needs long-term care? Well, the answer could be no one, because no one's ever going to grow old. You're going to stay your age that you're at now forever, and you're never going to need long-term care. Tasha,
wouldn't that be amazing?
Wouldn't that be a
sign
cool
me up for that?
Well, I mean, I don't think you're ever going to age. I mean, look at you. So, but there are people like me who do age, and we are going to need long-term care, Tasha.
All right.
So this is really interesting. I'm going to give you some statistics that is absolutely horrifying if you don't have proper long-term care insurance planning. This is why you need to reach out to Gary Owen and one of his reliable brokers who can help guide you and get you some additional information. So I always say that 3 and 4 need more. 3 out of 4 Americans are going to need long-term care sometime in their lifetime. So typically 47% of men turning 65 are going to need some long-term care services. 58% of women will need long-term care. 70% of people in nursing homes today are women.
Wow.
Because women obviously outlive the men. 80 years of age is the average age of admission into a long-term care nursing home. Typically, when you need long-term care services, it will begin in the home. Most people don't want to leave home. They want people to come in to take care of them and have home health care services. That's where typically almost all of the long-term care services begin in your home. And I'd be the same way. I certainly don't want to go to a long-term care facility or a nursing home. I don't think anybody does. So typically you want to, until things get progress and you get worse, and you don't really have any other options. So 2.5 years to 3 years is the average time, the average length that the average American will need long-term care. 48% of Americans, of adults, will need long-term care services less than a year. 19% will need it for 1 to 2 years. 21% will need it for 2 to 5 years, and 13% will need it for 5 or more years. There are currently, well, back 20 years ago, the numbers are much higher now, but 10 million Americans are currently needing long-term care, or were needing long-term care in 2000. So the longest time that a male adult received long-term care was for 19 years to the tune of $2.5 million.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
19 years. And for a female, the longest time in a long-term care facility was 18 years or needing long-term care. This will hit home to many of you. 6 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's or dementia, organic brain disorder. There are 200,000 under the age of 65 who are diagnosed with early onset of Alzheimer's disease. And then those that do get diagnosed will live roughly 4 to 8 years after that diagnosis. But what is the cost of care today? What is the cost? Tasha, I'm going to ask you this question. Do you think you know the answer? If someone goes to a nursing home, what is the average cost per year in a nursing home?
I'm just going to pull something out of a hat and say somewhere between $2,000 to $3,000 a month.
Well, that hat was pretty shallow.
Wow.
$85,000 a year
Wow.
is the nationwide median average of a nursing home. This is from AARP. That was back in 2018. So that number is a little higher today, most likely. Texas happens to be the state that has the least expensive long-term care services at about $55,000 a year. So for those of you that need long-term care and you don't want to be in Florida anymore, go to Texas. Save some money. I frankly don't want to go to Texas.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, 85 compared to 55,000, but 55,000 is still really steep.
It's crazy. 33% of adults who are over the age of 45, that would be me, are financially unprepared for long-term care expenses. A third of adults, 45 and plus, I want to share that with you again, are financially unprepared for long-term care expenses. So typically for a private room in a nursing home is over $100,000 or right around $100,000 a year. Some of my private rooms about $88,000 a year. And get this, those of you who fail to plan, I've not failed to plan, but there are many out there who do. 70% of long-term care costs are absorbed by families. So it's a shame that we put the burden of care on our families. So it's important to not do that, to save your children from that financial devastation and expense and time, and not to mention the psyche and all that goes with taking care of a sick family member. The assisted living facility here in the United States, that cost, you were closer to that, but still you were off 50% or about 100% actually, because I think you said $2,200 a month. $4,300 a month for an assisted living facility. So where, that's still a considerable amount of money.
Yeah.
But if you live in Massachusetts, in an assisted living facility would cost you around $6,100 a month. And Alabama is the least expensive at $3,150 for long-term care. So I want to share with you some, I'm working on a quote right now for a couple of clients, Fred and Mary. Fred's 60, Mary's 58. I want you to know that the ideal age for getting long-term care insurance is as early as you can. Typically, I would like to see, as an advisor, advising my clients, I prefer to see them anywhere between the ages of 50 to 58 is the ideal age, to 60 even, for long-term care. And of course, you have to qualify with health questions. So the longer you wait, two things happen, Tasha. Number one, the premiums get more expensive. Number two, you're at risk of developing a pre-existing condition, which can preclude you from qualifying for long-term care insurance. So here's a husband and wife, Fred and Mary. Again, Fred's 60, Mary's 58. For a $4,000, and the way that I work with my clients is that obviously you don't want to pay for a policy to cover 100% of long-term care. You have monies coming in. You have a nest egg that you can help defray the cost, the rising cost of long-term care services. So these clients thought that $4,000 a month would be what they need. In fact, we're looking now at a $3,000 a month benefit based on their income and based on their nest eggs and what they have available as resources. But at $4,000 a month, that's going to last them for 4 years if they went into an assisted living facility. or long-term care facility. But if they decided they want to have care in their home, they would get $1,200 a month in services, each of them. There is $0 day elimination period. That means that the first day they would get their benefits. And then that home health care would last them for 13 years. If they were going to a nursing home, obviously, or assisted living facility, they'd have 4 years of $4,000 a month benefit. So that would expire in about 4 years. But we know people don't really typically last 4 years. The average is about 2.5 to 3 years. The premium for Fred and Mary, Fred was only $185 a month, $184.59 at age 60. Mary, at age 58, her premium was 60% higher.
Wow.
Why is that, Tasha?
Because she's going to live longer.
She lives longer.
Yeah.
The cost of care is more, exactly.
Yeah.
So for her, the premium is $296.14. So combined with the discount for both the husband and wife, their premiums are $480 a month for both of them to have roughly $192,000 worth of long-term care benefit each.
Each. Wow.
Yes. So the value is there for long-term care insurance, and this is a typical traditional long-term care insurance company with a well-known, nationally recognized A-plus carrier. There are other types of long-term care insurance besides traditional, which we know as hybrid, that you use a life insurance policy with, that the premiums would never go up, unlike traditional long-term care premiums would probably go up. No guarantee that it would not go up on traditional long-term care, but on hybrid plans, you have a life insurance component, you have a long-term care component, and you have a return of premium component, depending on which company and plan you choose. So it's important that you sit down with a independent broker who can guide you, who can show you the options that you have, and devise a plan that fits your specific needs and your budget. So Fred, at age 60, with his premium, we put on a 3% compound rider. So that means that, right now, today, if he was going to be needing long-term care, he would get $4,000 a month in benefit. In 20 years, that long-term care monthly benefit now becomes $7,200. And in 30 years, if he goes on claim, now he has $9,700 in a monthly benefit. So it goes from $192,000 in 4 years of benefit to $466,000, all for only $184 a month, right? Let's talk about the break-even analysis, Tasha. So how many years would he have to pay to break even? Let's say if he went into a nursing home, went on claim for $4,000 a month, or actually now let's say at age 20, in 20 years at age 80, he would have $7,224 a month benefit. So he had paid all those premiums for 20 years. He's at age 80. He goes on claim for $7,200 a month. In 6 months of being in a nursing home or receiving long-term care, that takes care of all his premiums he paid. So everything after that is basically free for him.
Right.
So it kind of puts it into perspective, the importance of having long-term care insurance. So Mary, who's 58, let's say that she goes on claim at in 30 years from now, at 88, she goes into a nursing home. Her monthly benefit is now $9,700. It grew from $4,000 to $9,700. She'd have to be on claim for 10 months to break even on the premiums that she paid. That's it. 10 months. So for those of you out there who think that long-term care is unaffordable, that you don't know anything about it, I'm here to tell you that I think it's an opportunity for you to, and it's, again, as I said previously, it's a subject that people don't want to talk about. And then I get people to tell me, they laugh it off. My kids are going to take care of me. Oh, really? Really? You're going to do that to your children who are trying to take care of your grandchildren, who are trying to live a life, who are trying to make a living, and stop their and quit their job to take care of you and wipe your bum and feed you. No, that is not a plan. So perish the thought. Grow up, face reality, call Owen Insurance Group at 772-210-1020 and ask us, can you tell me what it would cost me to have long-term care insurance? Again, we'll curtail a plan that fits your specific needs, your specific budget, what it is that you're trying to achieve and to accomplish. So what I would not do is be an ostrich and keep your head in the sand. So that's my message to you this morning. I certainly appreciate you tuning into us this morning and listening to my wonderful guest. Next week, we are going to have some more special guests on our show. Tammy Caro and Victoria Ardito with Tammy Caro Insurance. And then also you're going to join Tom and I, and we'll interview them, and we'll talk about additional insurance solutions and maybe talk to you about disability insurance that Tasha, you and I were talking about earlier as well. So we want to thank you for watching us. Thank you for joining us this morning. We hope you enjoyed the show. Please share us on Facebook. Share us with your friends, your family, your neighbors. And remember, stay safe, keep healthy, be happy, and enjoy your quality of life.